when you're in a smaller, medium-sized company, and those are the ones
Yeah.
I love, they have worn multiple hats
Yeah.
and they have grown up, grown their organization, and they become the go-to person to do all that work. And then they wonder why they're burnt out. They
Yeah.
haven't learned to be able to develop the people under them and start delegating and let them focus on maybe working with customers and delegating that other to other people. They have this sense of pride, it's my baby. Now, with that comes the fact that they also maybe bootstrapped or funded the company themselves. They don't always have the awareness to invite people in to help them. So, having the courage to ask for help is a trend that I see a lot of CEOs don't do. And then they wait too long, they burn the people out, the people start leaving, and then you don't have that customer trust nor a viable business because they have this pride, which is wonderful, but it can also be their demise. New CEOs, well, I learn quickly that they communicate in different ways. They
Yeah.
still need to be able to articulate and speak a vision if they're going to lead others to follow them and get rounds of funding.
That's
But
right.
I have found that they will leverage other technologies like a TikTok or text or WhatsApp. I've actually had to adopt to that. I've got some fantastic people. They would prefer just to text me, and I thought text was old school. But I think CEOs have to be flexible to all kinds of communication, and we as professionals, coaches, whatever, have to lean into the best way to communicate with them.
Welcome everyone to another episode of Your Lab Central. Today I'm joined with Deb Coviello. So Deb, would you like to tell our audience why they should be excited about this conversation today?
All right. Well, first of all, I want to thank you so much for having me on the show. Why should they be excited? Well, I don't know. I guess I'm a pretty exciting person. I have done a lot in my career. I will say, first and foremost, is I've always been a creative person, and I've also been a talker. And the
Yeah.
interesting thing over my life is that I was very much a creative person, but then in my education, I kind of went over to math and science
Mhm.
because I was good, and I guess there weren't many jobs in the creative area. But I've enjoyed a really great career in manufacturing. I was a very good problem solver. I love solving problems, working with customers. My specific area of expertise is quality and operational excellence. And I
Mhm.
get excited because how can I make things better, faster, cheaper, safer for consumers? Again, I just want to help people. But I had a wonderful career in different areas. Later got the opportunity to get kicked out of the nest from corporate and start my entrepreneurial journey. And why should people get excited is the fact that I made a complete career pivot. People look at me now and say, Deb, you're not the same person that you were in corporate. And I say this to your listeners, I said, maybe I became the person I once was as a child.
Right.
Very creative, a talker. I want to help people. I want to connect with people. I want to show up for people. And when I'm an entrepreneur, again, I still practice my technical services and consulting and
Yeah.
coaching and podcasting and writing a book. Again, I never thought I would do that. I
Right.
get to live a life of more balance, more risk, more challenges because I have to
Yeah.
find my own work, but also balance family,
Mhm.
community, sport, and well being. And I would love to talk more about that because we're not defined by our job description or our career,
Right.
but the life that we live from all of this.
Mhm. Now, you've talked a lot. I mean, I'll break it down probably somewhere in between. And then, so the first thing that I want to ask about is how you self-realized that you probably came back after leaving your corporate job, probably came back to becoming the child that you were, and leveraged that to do what you're doing today.
Okay, so I'm probably going to cry a little bit because it brings up these memories. So, as
Mhm.
a child, when you're doing an arts and craft, or you're singing, or you're running around in the
Yeah.
yard with the other children, you get into this creative place of imagination. I mean, I used to think I was a butterfly and we're flying around and trying to not get caught or something like that. You have this vivid imagination.
Yeah.
And also, you can climb a tree and jump out of it. You have no fear.
Mhm.
Well, the same thing is with entrepreneurship. So I love to write and
Yeah.
express. I love to speak to you and express. I use my imagination. I get into flow. I
Mhm.
am at my best. And when I'm in that place, people recognize me, see me, value what I say, and I just want to give more. So I am now in a place where I can create and provide value and connect with people, and it
Right.
fuels my soul and makes me happy, just like I was when a child.
Uh-huh. So, Now, when we talk about becoming an entrepreneurship, there are certain qualities that entrepreneurial people usually have, right? So how did you pivot those qualities from being in corporate to entrepreneurship? Was that shift
Yeah.
sudden, or because you mentioned, right, you got, I don't know, the opportunity to get kicked out of the nest, or yeah. So
Yeah. Yeah, so I mean, as far as qualities go, given that I worked in manufacturing, I was a quality leader and an operations leader. I
yeah,
developed skills in being organized and developing plans and strategies. So jumping into entrepreneurship, it's like, okay, I got a new problem to solve. You immediately go into planning and project
yeah,
management. So that was a skill that was I brought forward from corporate. The problem was in corporate, they didn't appreciate my creativity. And the funny thing is, they used to give me performance reviews. Deb, you need to be more creative. Okay, then in my leadership, when I got to a high level leadership, Deb, we don't need you to be so creative. Just do your job. Ah. So, being an entrepreneur now, you can lean into your creativity. What is possible?
yeah,
You can have big vision. The problem, though, then is everything is a shiny penny, or you want to go after every
yeah.
opportunity, and that can also derail you. You're an opportunist, you're a visionary, but at the same time, you can get distracted and get nothing done. So you
Yeah.
got to find that balance between structure, organization, strategy, and that creative vision to lead people to another place and what you want to do.
Mhm. Now, since we're talking about leading people to where they should be, right, in a better place, I see that you've written drop in CEO. So just wanted to ask, how are you dropping in as a CEO, or is it something that you're doing?
It's similar. So the drop in CEO expression just came out of my mouth during a podcast interview. And when I had to explain what it was a memory I had of a CEO dropping into one of my businesses. And he
Right.
rolled up his sleeves, made us feel wonderful, and gave me more confidence. And then they pulled him out. And I just know that not only do I drop in as a consultant,
Mhm.
as a leader, and as a coach, I not only fix problems, but I elevate the leadership. So that is what I do, but what it was really about standing out. So often we fit within a job description, fit within the corporate mold. By going into entrepreneurship, I realized I needed to stand out. And the drop in CEO is very cool. People get it. I'm not necessarily dropping in it as the CEO, but I become a partner with the CEO or
Yeah.
C-suite leader. I think like them and help them to see what they cannot see to get them through the transformation. So
Mhm.
that's what the Drop In CEO brand is all about, the name of the podcast, and how I perform a little bit differently than some of the other consultants.
Right. So since you're talking about CEOs, if I'd say, what are 90% of CEOs failing to see in their companies, what would you pinpoint to?
Yeah. You got 10 or 15 minutes, but there's a couple things that I do see. Two things. One is that when you're in a smaller, medium-sized company, and those are the ones
Yeah.
I love, they have worn multiple hats
Yeah.
and they have grown up, grown their organization, and they become the go-to person to do all that work. And then they wonder why they're burnt out. They
Yeah.
haven't learned to be able to develop the people under them and start delegating and let them focus on maybe working with customers and delegating that other to other people. They have this sense of pride, it's my baby. Now, with that comes the fact that they also may be bootstrapped or funded the company themselves. They don't always have the awareness to invite people in to help them. So, having the courage to ask for help is a trend that I see a lot of CEOs don't do. And then they wait too long, they burn the people out, the people start leaving, and then you don't have that customer trust nor a viable business because they have this pride, which is wonderful, but it can also be their demise. So again, knowing how to grow a company, develop the other people, and also know when you're getting uncomfortable and ask for help because that's what you might need. So that's what I I say to them. Um, and 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 the CEOs that do come to me do have that realization that something feels uncomfortable. Now they've exceeded their confidence, capability, and capacity, and they're open to having a conversation with them. And it's just a conversation to open their eyes up to what's possible and maybe bring in somebody to help them get to the next place.
Yeah, I just feel sometimes, right, as entrepreneurs, it could get a little difficult to get into a safe space where you're willing to actually speak out or discuss on the matter that, yeah, I'm not able to handle everything. Obviously, it does not come out in front of the employees, and there has to be somebody from outside the company to be able to do that, right? So,
Yeah.
is that
I become,
helpful?
I mean, okay.
Being that
So
person, right?
they need to talk to somebody. First of all, I have been a C-suite leader and didn't have a support system and very few people to speak to except my husband, my poor husband, who really can't help me. What I'm finding is there's a trend as I meet some of these CEOs, they realize by talking to me, first of all, they talk to me and I deeply listen.
Hmm.
They share with me things that they can't tell a spouse, they can't tell their boss or their shareholders, they can't tell their employees. They are able to be themselves. And
Right.
in that process, I see them for what they can't see and their gifts. And in our exchange, and again, I do this just on the first visit. You don't even have to engage with me as a coaching client of mine. And all of a sudden, I show their value. Do you realize you can get through this? Do you realize you're already acting at the CEO? Maybe he's the COO because you've got all that. See yourself for the value. Anyway, they love talking to me because I listen. But I will say, I've got a female voice that is soothing. And I find that a lot of male are attracted to that, not me physically, but the voice and the confidence that I say, okay, she
Yeah.
sees me for who I really am, and they rebuild their confidence and potentially hire me just as a coach versus bringing me into their business. So there's a lot of them out there that I want you to think and self reflect. Can you do this alone or do you need to do something different?
Right. So, when this message goes out, right, when you're trying to reach out to people, okay, you might be going face to face, you might have be having a meeting, you might be going to a public conference, talking to a group of people on a stage, or probably doing it on social media. Which one's the most preferable one that you choose?
Oh, in terms of how do I connect with people?
Yeah,
All of
face to
it.
face is a
I love
great ball game.
I
Yeah,
love any stage, even if it's just one person, you and I. I
yeah.
love the metaphorical stage. I
Mhm.
love podcast guesting. I love the one-on-one with Zoom calls. I am not so good just going into a networking event where I don't know
Okay.
anybody because I'm trying to find human connection. But
Yeah.
I do love being on a stage. One of my best skills is when I speak to a panel of C
Okay.
suite leaders. And I create this experience asking them questions so they can bring their insights. A lot of people love when I do those group panel moderators in front of 50, 100, 200 people. I don't need to be speaking the whole time, but I'm creating an experience by weaving together the conversation and the questions and engaging with the audience. I do it well, and I absolutely love to do it because you see the body language leaning into the value that we're providing. So, long story, I think I love the public appearances, being a panel moderator, and just seeing how people are absorbing the concepts that we're presenting them. So, but I'll go on any stage.
Now, just the next stage that I want to talk about is probably the internet, because yeah, that's just another stage that just gives you an audience
Absolutely.
that is with everybody, right? So just based
Absolutely.
on that, but there's no audience as such who is there in front of you, right? It's just the camera, and there's a veiled audience behind that screen.
Yeah,
How do
go on.
you decide on which message, okay, that you should be sending out? Okay, it's different because it's different from creating a content calendar and just deciding, yeah, this will be going out today, this will be going out tomorrow, and then the next. But then there are things happening around the world, and then since you are a person who people connect to, and probably there could be other people who people connect to. So how should they be thinking about uh, trying to come up with something when they're going?
So if I can clarify, how do I come up with information or content that is relevant and
Yeah.
applicable? So yeah, absolutely. First of all, I love social media. I love the being able to connect asynchronously with people
Yeah.
because I'm still connecting with them because I actually have people that'll comment, will come back to me and say, I love that video that you did. So I still get that personal touch. But yes, I, like anything, have to have a content calendar because as an entrepreneur, I'm getting messages out and you need to
Yeah.
get that information out at certain cadences towards certain audiences. So there's always a strategy. But then Deb shows up on her own podcast or does LinkedIn Lives. I do solos. I will very often, I don't record a lot in advance. I look at the trends or a current client or something that I saw like, oh no, that's not the way you should do it. Don't listen to the gurus. Here's what I think you need to do to a particular pain point. I usually will speak top of mind. This is a problem that I'm seeing. Like I saw this leader, he didn't know how to influence a change. I will immediately put something down. This is the problem. Here's the situation. Here is what I think needs to be done. I'll tell a story and then reiterate this is the lesson and how they can apply it with a call to action. I've learned that script from marketing people, but trying to be current and relevant around an incident in the news and then tie it into my own talking points, it's easy and it's and speaking to a camera, I fake it. I feel like I'm speaking to an audience. Again, the fact that there's a camera there and there's nobody in front of me doesn't faze me. I know somebody's going to receive that message. But again, current, relevant, and something I can tell a story and be quite passionate about because I know it's going to resonate with people.
Yeah. Now, there's something that just hit my mind, right?
Hmm.
Specifically on LinkedIn, I see this a lot. And sometimes,
Yeah.
obviously, Twitter is a different ballgame. But on LinkedIn, since we're talking about professional people and business coaches and people who are trying to become business coaches, right?
Yeah.
Suppose some business news happens, okay? It could be positive, negative, or something of that sort. There, everybody is writing about the same topic and trying to tie it down to their own message. Uh, how do you look at that where people come in swarms and try to swoop into a particular news article or a particular news incident, right? It could be controversial or just some celebrity news. And then everybody is just doing it. And at some point, as a consumer of that content, I feel like, why is everybody trying to actually swoop in or just poach on somebody else's achievement?
Yeah, I mean, I got two schools of thought on that. So when we think about jumping on current news, it's important to let people know what you think. It's good conversation. I mean, gone are the days if we can't have conversation to agree or disagree and state
Yeah.
our position. So there's value in engaging in
Mhm.
current news. But
Yeah.
where I have a problem is then we get this group thing. Like I just saw something like a vacation, like business vacations, where you bring your spouse on a thing and LinkedIn put it out. I actually, for the first time ever, commented on that. But what I find is you become groupthink
Yeah.
and you're not putting out anything new or different.
Yeah.
I actually often will put content out there of my own thought and usually not mainstream. So, case in point, they talk about imposter syndrome. And
Yeah.
many people are making a lot of money because we created a narrative that leaders have imposter syndrome. And I said, nay to that. I said, because now people will become victims to a narrative and you got that groupthink. I
Mhm.
like to get to the root cause. How do people get to a place of losing their confidence? They may not have had a support system. So let's talk about what's missing and what they need, not become part of this group think because every one of them can get away from being imposter syndrome and start with proper support, realize their intrinsic value, where they may have lost it along the way, and how to regain it. So again, I believe in everybody has unique thoughts and they should
Yeah.
not be afraid of putting it out there. That's what's going to make you distinctly different. Don't worry about the number of followers, but about the quality of the people that maybe you've had an impact on.
Mhm. Excuse me. But how do you look at people using AI to put out content? Again, the type of content that comes out of AI is just
Yeah.
generic sometimes, and people don't even bother to run through it by themselves before posting it on social media, be it Twitter or LinkedIn or Facebook or
Okay.
whatever.
So AI has its place, and I am a late adopter of AI technology. You
Yeah.
have to think about the audience and the purpose of the information. Now, when it
Yeah.
comes to putting out show notes for
Mhm.
my podcast, it doesn't have to have such a personal touch. I will use AI to generate that.
Yeah.
If I ever use AI to generate a blog post, I'm doing it more for inspiration. I
Mhm.
will look at it and say, okay, good. They've curated some good talking points. I will always, always write the article myself around some of those key points because at
Yes.
the end of the day, I don't want people responding to an AI algorithm. That
Yeah.
I need to be connecting with them personally. So leverage it for its efficiency and curation of information, making your life easier. But people want to hear from you and your authentic voice or content. So I don't love it if it's misused, but it's definitely got advantages.
Mhm. Any specific use cases that you've seen you're using right now?
For AI.
Yeah.
Or, okay, well, first of all, there's some really cool tools out there that really, really help me. I mean, I'm using AI from a content creation perspective. I do a lot of videos. I put videos out on YouTube. That's part of my content creation engine. But I'm not a video editor. How do you get shorts, little 1 minute clips that really, really
Yeah.
get people's attention because their attention is very short? I use an AI tool that looks at my entire video and snips out some sound bites, and I can get some social media posts from it that don't have to be so. I do personalize them, but I get video content that I couldn't have done it alone, and it helps me to project my thoughts and project my brand, and it's pretty good. And so I really value that. If you are a content creator, figure use one of the tools out there to
Yeah.
slice your thoughts and get them out there because people have a very short attention span. Not everybody, but it's going to watch a 30-minute YouTube video.
Yeah. Now, since we come to attention spans, let's talk about that. How are you seeing the effect on the new generation of CEOs, specifically when it comes to attention spans and new CEOs?
Oh yeah. So, well, new CEOs, they're still a little bit they're a little bit older. New CEOs. Well, I learn quickly that they communicate in different ways. They
Yeah,
still need to be able to articulate and speak a vision if they're going to lead others to follow them and get rounds of funding.
that's
But
right.
I have found that they will leverage other technologies like a TikTok or text or WhatsApp. I've actually had to adopt to that. I've got some fantastic people. They would prefer just to text me, and I thought text was old school. But I think CEOs have to be flexible to all kinds of communication, and we as professionals, coaches, whatever, have to lean into the best way to communicate with them. So my only advice is be flexible to all ways of communicating, but also
Yeah,
adopt to be able to influence and get the work done.
right. Now, before we're getting to the end of the conversation, but then
Mhm.
just wanted to ask about the books that you've written and you're writing, if there's something that's new.
Yeah. Yeah, so thank you for asking. Back in 2021, I released the book, The CEO's Compass, Your Guide to Get Back on Track. And really, the book is for almost anybody, but I had to write it for anybody in a position of leadership. I was so excited to finally write it because I was putting all kinds of stuff on LinkedIn, and somebody said to me,
Yeah.
Deb, we love your content. I said, but we don't know what you're about. What's your system? How do you go into organizations? So the
Mhm.
CEO's Compass came to fore where I really messaged to leaders that have kind of lost their way and they think they need to bring in consultants and totally blow up everything. And I say, no, you're probably just off track in a few places. So it's about a compass where you need to make course corrections to ultimately get to peace of mind, which is true north. So I have compass points about people, process, and platforms, performance, purpose, and also past and pride. There's a couple of points in there that are not typical. I won't go into a lot of it, but I find when I go in or I speak to them, they're usually off track in just a couple. And I provide real world examples from some from myself, where if you just
Yeah.
make some of these course corrections, peace of mind is what we're trying to get to.
Mhm.
That book has resonated when I get it into the hands of people. But the second book that's going to get written in 2025 soon is the new CEO Playbook.
Okay.
Stop chasing results and start pursuing peace of mind. Because the biggest mistake CEOs that what they make is they're just trying to get that market share. They're trying to get that on-time performance. They're trying to get a certain number of customers, and they're beating the people on their staff to get those results. And they get the results and they high five. Hey, we made our numbers this quarter. And then what happens though is then all of a sudden they don't get the results and they beat the people again to get the
Yeah.
results and they high five, people get their bonuses. This cycle is
Yeah.
not sustainable. And a leader needs discipline to say, what do I need to really fix foundationally in the organization? How do I remove the barriers that my people are experiencing and
Yeah.
unleash their potential? Have the discipline to tell your stakeholders, just give me a little bit of time to shore up the gaps. And you'll find that when you focus on what will give them peace of mind, knowing their people have all the tools and resources to be successful, ultimately you get the results, not just one quarter, 2 quarters, but sustainably you get the results because you're in a place of peace of mind. You set the organization up for success. That is the next book that's going to get written. And my message to CEOs: stop chasing results, start pursuing peace of mind.
Now, okay, there's just a question that just popped up in my mind. Now, when a CEO tries to chase peace of mind, right?
Yeah. Mhm.
To get to some level of peace of mind, that they will have to have uh, achieved some result that they wanted to, right? That would be a part of the process, if not
Yes.
just the goal.
Yeah, I mean, a CEO, it's a lonely spot. They have to be in service to their people, in
Yeah,
service to customers, and in service to maybe a board of directors or private equity. So it is important to show quick wins.
yeah,
Hey, look, this customer where we only had an 80% performance, we're back up to 90%, and they're starting to do more business with us. You need to do that to build a little bit of trust while you're working
yeah,
on the strategic stuff that's not working. Maybe you don't
yeah,
have a robust training program or a performance review, or people don't understand ways of working. They work in silos. Those are all the things that you need to work on to improve performance. That takes time and
yeah.
discipline. Quick wins first, so I agree with you absolutely, but have a strategy in place to move the needle sustainably so you always get those
Yes.
results.
Mhm. Okay, now that was quite insightful, right? We went
Thank
through
you.
everything. The compass part, I surely do agree because, yeah, having all of these points in sync, if not
Yeah.
at least pointing in the right directions, that is what the need of the hour is. So, before we close, where can people get in touch with you? Where can they know more about you? I see a book right there at the back. Looks lovely. The cover is amazing. I don't know who does.
Oh, yeah, I mean, if anybody's looking, so I am not a standard business book. A standard business book, and I love these authors. It's like one, two, or three colors. This is what the publishers say to do. I said I wanted to be something memorable, beautiful that can be on your desk. So yeah, the CEO's compass, isn't it beautiful? Yes, it is. Anyway, how can people get a hold of me? The best way is two places: my website, dropinceo.com. And for your listeners, I also have a free gift. So dropinceo.com/gift. You actually get a free chapter of the book in PDF or audio, as well as a free bundle of some of my podcast episodes. But I'm on LinkedIn, dropinceo.com, or Deborah A. Coviello, my formal name. You can find me. I'd love to connect with your listeners. And I just want to say thank you again for having me. I've loved this conversation.
Thank you so much for joining in, Deb. So, to the audience who was listening and watching, if you like the conversation, do leave a like. The comment section is open for questions to add to the conversation, to add more perspective to the conversation. That's always welcome. And yeah, don't forget to subscribe if you've not subscribed yet. Thank you so much for joining in. And Deborah, thank you so much for joining in to the
Thank
conversation.
you.
Thank you so much.